Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode of the Privacy Rules Meet the Member podcast. Today I'm joined by our colleague from Colombia, that is Stella Vanegas, founder of the firm Vanegas Morales Consultores. And I'm glad to have her as one of our experts in privacy and data protection. So without further delay, I would like to know more about you and your firm.
Thank you, Alessandro, for your invitation. For me, it's a pleasure to be here with you. And as you already said, I am a Colombian lawyer who is focusing in facilitating the work for companies and to make business. So that's my principal purpose, and that's what I have done during my last years. As you said also, I am the founding partner of Vanegas Morales Consultores, which is a law firm that gives that advice to our clients in different matters, especially in data privacy, consumer protection, e-commerce, compliance, governance, and right now in the new tools in artificial intelligence.
Okay, and yes, Stella, thank you for joining us. And of course, the Meet the Member podcast is in most of the cases a way in which we discuss about the main issues related to data privacy in the countries of our members. So starting from your experience in the sector, I would like to immediately start discussing about which are the most relevant challenges that companies in Colombia face related to data privacy, to the data privacy sector.
Okay, sure, Alessandro. Well, in my opinion, there are many challenges that companies in Colombia face regarding data privacy. But today, I would like to focus just in one, because this challenge itself has many aspects that deserve enough time to go in detail with them. So what I am referring is to make real and concrete the accountability principle. That is very important, and that today is the focus for our authority. Our authority in Colombia wants that we as a companies can make real and concrete this principle.
I understand. And yes,
yeah.
Sorry, please go on.
Okay, so as you know, every company deals every day with personal information. So they have to, most of them, they have already implemented a basic system of compliance in data privacy. I mean, they have policy privacy, the privacy policy, they have consent formats, they have also standard clauses and standard contracts to make transfers, local and international also. They have also their policies regarding security measures. But the point is how to be sure, if you are the CEO of your company, that you are complying with all these things that you have in these documents. How that you be sure that you are safe as a company and that you are really complying with the promise that you already gave to the owners of the data. So in order to really comply with this, I think accountability principle starts to be really important. We, as a company, I recommend to be very efficient in assigning resources, because you need to be really careful in assigning, not just in quantity, but also in quality. In Colombia, as is the same in Europe, we have to appoint a data protection officer at PO, or at least you have to have an area of being charged to comply with data protection measures. So as a company, you have to be really careful in order to design a person or an area that really is trained to start to comply and to develop all these programs. And people also to truly believe in the right that the owner of the data has to be treated fairly and transparently. For me, this is very important. If you appoint the right people and if you train these people, and also if you give resources to these people, these people can do a really good work, but you have to be as a CEO and also as the board of directors, really, you have to get really involved in this journey. It is very important.
Okay, I have one question on this point that it's interesting because it's a like kind of comparison with GDPR. Does the provision in the Colombian regulation require the DPO to have certain types of specific training, or it's broader, the law?
No, we have some difference with the GDPR because if you allow me to mention the legal duties that we have in this matter, we find these rules in the decree 1377 of 2013. They say that the controller and also the processor must appoint a data protection officer or has to design an area that is in charge of that. And besides of that, we have in Article 27, the obligation that the controllers should adopt policies that guarantee the existence of administrative structure that must be proportional to the size and structure of the company. So these are our rules, but they are not really, they don't go in detail. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, we have guidelines that come from the authority, from our authority. They, in 2016, they issue the guidelines for accountability principle. And they included some points that they consider that the data protection officer has to comply with. So as a recommendation, any company has to follow not just the rules that we have in our, or the articles that I have already mentioned. They have also to follow the guidelines that the authority in Colombia has established since 2016. And besides that, I think we have to follow the best standards. So for us, just have as a guide in our work, GDPR for us is very important. So, but this is different. We don't have this like detail, all the characteristics in detail. We have like it's more wide. This is more open to just to decide how do you want to comply with that.
And so it's more open also to different interpretation, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I understand. And yeah. Are there, considering also these maybe issue related to the possible different interpretation, do you think there are best practices that company should follow in order to better comply, or in an easier way, what can a company do to be sure to be compliant?
Okay, great question. I think, in my opinion, companies must combine three things that are knowledge, experience, and attitude. As I mentioned before, we need a DPO or an area of data protection that honestly believe or strongly believe that the owner of the data deserves be treated fairly and transparently. This is so important. Besides, I think that the CEO and the board of directors, they must get involved in this journey, as I said. They must believe seriously that it is really important. And this is not just a matter of legal compliance. For me, goes further. It's more like the seal that the company wants to stamp in their own culture. So you have a culture in your company and you really want to have this seal that you really believe and strongly protect the information that get and collect from your clients or from your stakeholders in general. Third, I think as the CEO, or we need that the CEO and the board also should allocate enough resources to train people. It's one of my main points. I always have considered that if you give value to the rules, you are going to be more conscious about to comply with. So it's not just a matter of try to formally comply. It's more about that you have this inner feeling that you understand why it's so important. And we have a fundamental right, no? You know, data protection is not a matter of any kind of rights, it's a fundamental right. So for me, this is very important.
Yeah.
Besides, I think that, and this is, tell me, Alessandro.
No, it's I understand that it's a matter of personal will of the member and the company's CEO and board of manager. They really need to be to understand that it's more about their real will to be privacy compliant. It's not just a matter to following a rule. It's something more. That's what you want to say, if I understood well.
Completely agree.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more with that, yes.
So,
and besides, sometimes companies said, yes, I want to make this real, but how can I do it? And I don't have enough resources, or I don't know how to do it. And for me, it is not a kind of develop very complex tools. It's more about to be really clear with the message that you want to send to your employees and also to your stakeholders, and make the procedure as simple as you can. Because if people have enough time to go in detail with this procedure, through this procedure, they are going to be able to comply with. But if you just make this very complex, it is going to be very difficult for people to understand. So for me, make it easier is one of the points of success. And I would like also to add that it's very important to be consistent. I think you as a CEO cannot say today, okay, we are going to engage this project and we strongly believe that we are going to do good things. And then just leave all this project in other hands, because you have to monitor how this project is going on. And if you really want that this is going to be real and concrete, at least you have to reserve monthly, like a half an hour in the meeting of the board, to ask how it is going. And it's very important that you give also voice, real voice, to your data protection officer. It's not just a matter of formally has this person in charge. This person has to be invited to the board. You have to really ask him how are the critical situations that he has faced during the last months or days, in order to take decisions. Because it's not just also monitor. You have to monitor, and since the things that you know from your DPO, go and take decisions that on time, of course, that prevent that you put in risk your own company, no? And I think everything is like make data privacy something important and relevant for you as a soul, and also for your people, for your employees. This is so important. It has to be relevant. It is nothing that it is just another thing that we have to comply. I understand that companies have to comply with many guidelines and rules that come also from different authorities, because it's not just the only thing that they have to comply is not data privacy. But you have to be really, try to be clear and efficient in order to give the relevance and importance that data privacy has to have in your company.
Of course. And speaking about these, you mentioned two things that are interesting to me. The first one was related to the fact that you have to invest on privacy, because it's also true that economically it's something in many cases for companies it's pretty relevant. And the other thing it's that you mentioned that is interesting to me is the fact that you mentioned prevention. And so I'm interested to know, in your opinion, which are the best way to assess the risk involved and try to, I think, act before things happen, in order not to have to pay all the consequences related to, for example, a data breach or a violation of data.
Okay, I understand, Alessandro. Yes, first, I think that the owners of each process in your company that has, they have to learn how to identify risks. This duty or this homework is not a homework for the DPO or the area of data protection. It's like you have to empower each employee in order to know how to identify the risk first, to how to identify the cause or causes that just can make that this risk happening in your company, and how to avoid that it can make through or that it can happen. So the first point is train your people in order to identify risks and assess risks. And in the management of data, they have to know not just the law, but also your own policies. Sometimes happens that they know the law, but they don't know your policies. Or they know the policies, but they just don't have any idea about the law. Of course, I know and I understand that it's not easy to teach law when the company is going, or business are going so fast. It is not easy to say, okay, I'm going to teach today like 3 hours about this and about, and go so on. But I really think that is very important to be flexible and creative in order to make a team with your employees and to combine different capabilities in your employees in order to assess the risk and try to avoid that the risk just happens in the company. So for me, it is very important. Empower each employee in order to do that.
Of course. No, that's clear, absolutely, and I agree with that. And also, in many cases, also trainings are a good way to prevent and to have employees that are prepared to face certain very specific situation. And well, Stella, we are also running out of our time, so I would also like to ask you one last question that is related to your personal view. If you have any other advice to people that would like to open a business in Colombia, or to Colombian firms that you think is another interesting point necessary to know for them.
Okay, well, no, I think that always see that knowing the rules, when you go to any country, you have to know the rules and the culture. Always try to be really clear and focused in the things that you are capable to do, and always comply with the promise that you make to your clients or to your stakeholders from the beginning. When you are just thinking in your own privacy policy, please think it really in your business, not take ideas, or not take ideas, probably yes, but not take other policies and try to pretend that because they are more sophisticated or more complex, they are better than yours. Really try to do the best yourself and try to be very honest in the things and in the guidelines and in the duties that you are just promised to your stakeholders. For me, this is so important. And always think that it is going to be really good, not just for compliance, as I said before. If you are a company that really believes in privacy, you can be, or can go faster and safer innovating, because your own people can just assess risks, and when they are develop new products or services, they're just taking this into account. It's like having privacy by design inside of each of your employees. So try to be consistent, try to do that from the beginning, try to really be honest and put all your energy in try to do your best.
Of course, clear. So thank you very much, Stella, for this very great advice and all the discussion that we had today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I would also like to thank all our listeners of today, and I hope to meet all of them soon with our next podcast, and if they didn't, to have a look to our previous podcasts through our YouTube channels and in our social media, and also via our website that is privacyrules.com. Thank you very much, Stella, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you, Alessandro. Goodbye.